I only have 358.
I have City Hall.
Okay, I have the atomic clock in Switzerland, but okay. Ready?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That woke everybody up. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Committee. That's a subcommittee meeting in room 408. The date is November 17th, 2015, and the time is 4 o'clock p.m. What are we in? Standard? Daylight? No, the other one. Pacific Standard Time, City Hall time, 4 p.m.
On the call of the roll, Member Eldon.
Call the roll. Thank you.
Present.
Eldon present. Member Hinsey.
Present.
Hinsey present. Chair Fisher.
Present.
Fisher present. We have a quorum.
So, Mr. Young, we're not going to do...
I believe we should call item 2 and 3.
Yes.
They are related. However, I don't believe there's a representative from the Department of Public Health here at this time. However, item number 2, file number 15129, complaint filed by Joe Warren against Freya Horn and the Sheriff's Department for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.21 and 67.25 by failing to respond to requests for public records in a timely and/or complete manner. Item number 3, file number 15134, complaint filed by Joe Warren against the Department of Public Health for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.21 and 67.25 by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and/or complete manner. Would someone like to make a motion to find jurisdiction on these two matters?
So moved.
Can you second it, Eric?
Second.
Is there any public comment regarding jurisdiction of the task force over this matter? I do not see any public comment regarding that. Would you like to move into the hearing portion of this matter?
Yeah, let's go into hearing. I see that Freya Horn from the Sheriff's Department is here, but is it correct we do not have anyone from Department of Public Health?
I do not see anyone from the Department of Public Health here at this time. They did request a continuance, but they were informed that it would be up to the committee to determine if we would continue their item or not.
Well, if we hear the items, hang on a sec. If we hear the items together, I mean, normally we would hear the complainant first, and then the respondent for one item, and then the complainant, and then the respondent. So I'm deferring to you. How do you
Maybe we should just hear one at a time, and maybe we'll just have the hearing on item number 2 regarding the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
Oh, the sheriff goes.
Can we have the?
Go ahead, Member Hinsey.
Could we have the sheriff? Oops. Can we have the sheriff's hearing right now? And then?
Yeah, I totally misread this. I thought
Yeah.
the sheriff was first. I think because she walked in first. So then let's go. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's go directly to item number 2 regarding.
Well, no, that is item number 2.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the next item on the agenda.
We'll be right
If you would
there.
like to have the complainant provide his testimony on
Yeah,
this matter.
this is your first time with us?
It is.
But Ms. Horn, it's not. Is it your first time with us? You've been here before. So the way this works is you're going to get 5 minutes to give us any kind of information you want, your side of the story. The respondent will get 5 minutes to give their side of the story, and then we discuss amongst ourselves, and we will be asking you questions. So if at the end of your 5 minutes you're like, oh, there's something more I have to say, don't worry, you'll get that chance because there will be some back and forth. And at the end of all of the discussion, there will be a 3-minute rebuttal that Ms. Horn will go first, and then you will go.
Okay. But real quick point of interest with 15...
I'm sorry, I have to come up to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. With 15134...
Can you pull the mic to you? Because
The Department of Public Health has not responded to the complaint at any point so far. The
We're
Sunshine
considering
Ordinance...
these items
Yep.
separately.
What's that?
We're considering these items separately. at
yeah,
this
we're going to
time.
do these separately.
Okay,
So we're going to go, come on back, because you're going to start now.
Okay.
So I'm giving you
Okay.
I'm trying to help you here because
Okay.
it's your first time. And so what's going to happen is, and we have not started the clock yet, you are going to get 5 minutes. but I just want to make sure that you are, it's a little daunting being up there the first time.
I'm a labor
so-
rep. I know a little bit about it. So.
Okay, so you're going to get 5 minutes to say whatever you want. Ms. Horn, you're welcome to stand or sit, as whichever you prefer. Because you're not going anywhere for 5 minutes, so you're not coming up to us, so go ahead.
Okay, so my biggest issue is not actually with Ms. Horn.
You're going to be talking to us.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not actually with Ms. Horn. It is with the Department of Public Health, so this is going to be rather quick. In terms of what we're dealing with the Sheriff's Department and my request for public record, I'm limiting that to item number 8 in the list, which is the security camera footage. Anything else that may pertain to records that the Sheriff's Department would have, I have no evidence that they do exist, and so I can't force them to produce something that they don't have. Basically, a short background. On August 8th, I self-admitted to San Francisco General Hospital. I'm not indigent. I have private insurance. It was the closest emergency department. And what transpired thereafter was it defied human rights. It was a human rights violation. If I was a prisoner of war, it would have violated Geneva Conventions. Mm-hmm. That's how serious it is. There's essentially 2 pieces of evidence on which I rely. After I left the San Francisco General Hospital, because the Sheriff's Department had involvement in what occurred, I decided to just send out some public records requests, trying to piece together what happened to me and why, what exactly occurred and what was going on in these people's minds. And what I did was I sent out to Ms. Horn through one of their general contact email addresses was a very sort of blanket request for public documents, just basically requesting anything that had to do or pertaining to me, my person, my likeness, etc. I believe that public records request was submitted on August 25th. Prior to me ever doing an internal affairs complaint with the Sheriff's Department. On September 3rd, several days later, I did file an internal affairs complaint regarding what had occurred. And on September 8th, I filed a lengthy request for essentially 52 documents that fell under 3 different laws that would require them to provide me those copies. So obviously, a ton of them are medical records that I wouldn't request under the Sunshine Ordinance. Mm-hmm. So. But when it comes to Ms. Horn, we're just dealing with the number 8. One of the key issues, one of the items that when I sent out that second request for information, I sent it to Ms. Horn, Mr. Nico, from the Sheriff's Department and the Department of Public Health at one. And I basically said, look, sort out, I don't know who's responsible for which document, you sort it out, you figure out who's responsible to respond. And the Sheriff's Department did respond in a timely manner. They basically gave me what they said they could provide, which was not much. And they told me that they were requesting a copy of the video footage from the closed circuit camera system, but that they were accepting it from disclosure because it was now part of an investigation over my internal affairs complaint. The city attorney gives a pretty succinct discussion of why, with no disrespect to Ms. Freya Horn, the Sheriff's Department must comply with my request. And basically, he's correct. The Sheriff's Department, my internal affairs complaint was filed on September 3rd. My second information or public documents request that specifically identified the video footage came 5 days later. There was on September 8th. There was no action in between those 2 dates from the time I filed my internal affairs complaint until I filed my September 8th request for public documents to get that security camera footage as it's relevant to the investigation of the complaint. I can tell you as of October 21st, I believe, or October 29th, I spoke with the Internal Affairs Department of the Sheriff's Department or Internal Affairs Unit, and as of that time, they had not even assigned my case a case number. They didn't know who had it, and I postulated that it was sitting in Mark Nico's desk. So a key function or a key requirement that something be exempted because it's part of an investigation means that investigation has to be occurring. They can't just say it's being investigated or subject to investigation and then put it off in someone's desk for 2 months. It's been 2 months. It's been 2 months. And that's not right. That doesn't serve the interest of justice. That's all.
How much time does he have left?
13 seconds.
Oh. I normally would wait, but from the Sheriff's Department, I'm just trying to sum up, what is it that you're still missing?
The video camera footage.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. That was 13 seconds.
Are there any
Yeah, I want
speakers?
to do that,
I think
rather
that
than
was
one.
Mr. Warren.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is there anyone in the gallery that wants to offer facts and evidence in support of the complainant? Hearing none. Ms. Horn?
Yes.
You get 5 minutes to speak, to step right up to the microphone.
I'm sure I won't take, go, can you hear me? I'm sure I
I
won't
don't know.
take the 5
Victor, is that
minutes.
good enough? Okay.
But let me just indicate that I did respond on, I believe it was the 11th, and I, at that point, indicated that the video surveillance was part of our investigation, our internal investigation, and as it is part of an investigation which is still open, it would be exempt from a public records request. At the time initially that I responded to Mr. Warren, which was September 11th, I believe, and then also on the 14th, we did not actually have physical custody of the video surveillance. We do now. I'm not sure where the information comes to Mr. Warren that there's ever an open investigation file on Mark Miko's desk, my associate. We never see investigation files until they're completed. There is an open investigation that is a result of the request made by Mr. Warren to have such an investigation conducted, and it's an investigation into any sheriff's deputies who were involved in an unlawful detention of him related to his self-admission at San Francisco General Hospital on August 8th. The video surveillance was requested solely for that purpose by our investigative services unit, certainly to assist in the investigation to figure out what happened and who was involved. It's still an ongoing investigation. As an ongoing investigation, it is protected by both Government Code Section 6254F and Administrative Code Section 67.24D. It is exempted from a Public Records Act request. The investigation is a confidential investigation into police officer personnel, possible misconduct, and under 832.7 of the Penal Code, those are confidential records and not subject to Public Records Act requests. So that is the only thing I can respond to at this point.
Okay, don't go away.
I won't.
Is there
I'm right here.
anyone that has any facts or evidence in support of the respondent? Hearing none, I'm going to open it up to my colleagues on the committee, who I'm sure have as many questions that I have, but I'm actually going to go first because Ms. Horn is standing right there. I'm pretty sure you answered this for me quite well in your little speech. My question was, what is an internal investigation? I think you said that. It's an internal investigation into
It's an
the
admitted- it's like-
deputies.
it's inter-
I know what an internal investigation
Yeah.
is. What is this one? It's somebody is
specific-
doing
specifically at the request of Mr. Warren to investigate an unlawful detention of him related to
Okay.
his self-admission.
So it's
it would
his investigation, which
it's-
well within your rights and
It's
privilege.
his complaint
Okay.
that triggers, anyone's complaint would trigger an
Okay.
investigation
Which-
into misconduct by deputy sheriffs. And
Right.
in this case, the specific misconduct is a potential unlawful detention as a result of his self-admission.
So we're in November now, so it's been a few months. So he, within his right, launched or whatever this investigate or requested this investigation, and now your internal investigations department, I watch too much TV, IA, is in, it's like Law and Order is in the background here, is investigating. So you're
Correct.
in the process of investigating this right now, and this video footage is part of that investigation.
Correct.
And I can understand that you couldn't give up that video footage to me, or, the people outside this building or anybody else. But and this is not rhetorical. This is purely interrogative. Is there a reason why it can't be shared with him, who is the guy that requested this?
Because of
Making sense?
the very exceptions that are outlined here, which is the government code section and the administrative code section, it's part of an investigative file. That investigation is into peace officer misconduct, and
Right.
it's confidential and protected and can only be divulged through what is called evidence code section. It's called a Pitch's motion, but evidence code sections 1043, 1044, and 1045. And it has to be done in front of a court with a judge. So that's at this point, while it's an
Right.
open investigation. I did call today to find out the status. It is still being investigated.
So what I'm hearing is it can be done, just not here.
It could be done as part of a motion made to a court in a civil proceeding or in a criminal proceeding, but not here.
Okay.
Correct.
I hear what you're saying, and I know, and that's the law. I didn't go to law school, but I know enough lawyers, so I get it. It just seems a little Orwellian now. It's like, well, it's your investigation, but we can't give you this information, but which we may find is way beyond the jurisdiction of us, but that's what we're here for. Member Hinsey,
And
you seem to be chomping here. Go ahead.
The respondent could, or the complainant could,
Do you want me to call
no.
the complainant up? No, stay down.
they
Sorry.
could request the video and be granted the footage after the investigation is completed, correct?
Oh, that's a question. Can he get it when the investigation is
it when-
complete?
That is possible. It, again, depends on the outcome of the investigation. It would have to be after, if there is discipline to be imposed for deputies doing something they shouldn't have done, it would be available once that is completed. I can't tell you how long that would take, but...
That was my next
yeah.
question.
And unfortunately, I don't know. Sometimes investigations go quickly, sometimes they take longer.
How long might it take? Do you have a range estimate?
I can't tell you.
Like less than
I
3
can-
years? Like,
Oh, yes. I can tell
what's
you
like a
that
range?
There's a statute of limitations, which is that if there is going to be discipline imposed, it has to be noticed within a year of the time that we are aware of possible misconduct. In this case, it would be from the time that we were apprised of his complaint, which would be September 3rd. So we would have to have
Okay.
the investigation completed and any discipline noticed by September 2nd of next year.
So you can't, good. So, I mean, you wouldn't want something where somebody would really, truly be in an Orwellian situation where, like, hey, the clock ran out, sorry, yeah, statute of limitation. You are,
There is a statute.
there is a law, there is a statute that says you have to do this within that year.
Yes,
Okay.
if discipline is going to be imposed, they have to be noticed within 1 year of the time that the Sheriff's Department, becomes aware of the possible misconduct.
And if the investigation comes out and says, well, there's nothing to see here, there was no, I don't know what you call it, discipline or...
Misconduct.
Thank you. There was no misconduct. Then what happens is the complainant or the person is he noticed?
He's sent a letter indicating that.
Is he going to be able to? Sorry.
You're supposed to go through the chair.
Sorry.
I'm a little loosey-goosey, but yes.
Okay.
Member Eldon.
Sorry, I'm pretty new.
I know. And I'm pretty loose.
So do you guys? How would you end up giving him the video? What would be your process for doing that, or would you even do that?
Once the letter is sent to him indicating, in what she was positing is that there was no misconduct, then he would make the request to me, or
Okay.
assuming that,
But regardless of the finding, the video will be made available to him if he requests it.
No, what I
No.
indicated
Okay,
was
sorry.
that if there was
Yeah.
misconduct, it wouldn't be
Then he'll-
available until
right.
such time as the misconduct was resolved. In other words, discipline was imposed, and that could take another few months beyond that.
Okay. So there's a multi-tier here. If, I'll treat this like I write code for a living. So if there is no misconduct, he'll get the video sooner. If there is misconduct, then you have to do all your own internal work, and then he would get the video after that. So eventually, someday in the future, he'll get the video. There's never a time where it's an absolute definitive no. Is there in this type of
I mean,
case?
every case is different, but
Yeah,
this particular
that's-
case, I think he would get the video.
That's where I was going
Yeah.
at, because as I was making that sentence, I was like, well, wait a minute, there are times, but... Okay, so, you have anything? And then I'll go back to you.
Unfortunately, I think that this is sort of getting into the realm where we're not adjudicating. I mean, it's
Correct.
the law.
Yeah,
I mean,
this isn't us.
This isn't a sunshine issue, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well,
Hold on. Member Eldon, do you have something to add?
I mean, I guess it's possible that the Sunshine Ordinance would ask us to take a different approach to this than versus the internal affairs process.
Say that again?
Like, so we have our job to try to address these complaints. You know, presumably the plaintiff here doesn't want to, he doesn't necessarily agree with their process for disclosing this.
I'm not thrilled with it either, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, there might be some larger issue, but I mean, I don't think it's our place to do that, but it does seem like it could be a sunshine issue. If a city agency has a rule that goes against what our mandate is. I don't know enough
Right.
about the
No,
law
I know.
here to be sure about that, but that seems like it would be the potential sunshine issue for us right now.
Could I
If
just
anything.
add one thing
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
response to what you're saying? Is
And you'll get another chance too.
that Mr. Warren indicated the city attorney said that that the exemptions did not apply to this case. I actually read that to be the opposite. It applies if it's an investigative proceeding, that it is exempted under both of those code sections. So I'm not sure whether we just disagree on the interpretation, but my reading is that the legal issues are if it's part of an investigation, which I think there's no question this is part of an investigation.
That's how I read it, too.
With administrative discipline, that
Yeah.
it is exempt under the government code section and the administrative code section.
Yeah, I think our city attorney was just trying to give us every possible potential Talmudic interpretation. I mean, this is, one of those things where there's so many laws out there that I don't like. This might be one of them. I mean, I didn't like the fact that women couldn't vote until 1920. We overturned that. So, but as much as we would love to overturn every law we don't like, we can't. Hold on. We're gonna call you up. In order to get Mr. Warren back up here, somebody has to ask him a question. Does anybody have a question for him?
I would like to ask a question,
Come on
Mr.
up.
Warren.
I mean, if nobody had one, I'd pull him up here. Microphone, please, because we're recording it. Go ahead, Member Eldon, you had a question, and do you have one too? No.
Do you have any specific response to what she's saying about what?
Yes, I do. I mean,
This is your
I think the city attorney very clearly laid out the fact that there is a claim that it falls under Sunshine Ordinance, and that is, you have to look at what the original purpose of the film was, whether it was there for a law enforcement purpose. Mind you, they're saying that it wasn't. It's maintained and controlled by the Department of Public Health, so it wasn't originally created by a law enforcement body. But the city attorney also said you have to look at what it was being used for at the time that I made the request. At the time I filed the internal affairs complaint, they didn't even have the record. They hadn't even requested it. They didn't even on September 15th. 12 days after I filed the internal affairs complaint, 7 days after I filed the request for public documents, then they said, well, we're going to request it. That was told to me during a discussion with Ms. Horn in the context or discussing the subject of the public records request, not the internal affairs. So it sounds to me like she's just requesting it. You have to look at the cause of what made her compile it. Was it the fact that I filed the internal affairs complaint? Probably not, because they sat there for 12 days not requesting it until I filed the information, the public records request. And that's what the city attorney is saying. You have to look at what the record was being used for at the time that it was requested, as well as when it was originally created or compiled.
I know that. I'm at a loss on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, so you basically want the video now, even if they're going through their standard process now?
Yeah, because I believe it was a public record. I don't think it was, listen, in terms of the investigation, it's been 2 months. I've not even received a letter of acknowledgement, let alone, I can guarantee you, I know in the police department requirements, their procedures, the first thing they have to do is get a recorded statement from the person filing the complaint. It's been 2 months. I've not received anything from the Sheriff's Department. So this idea that they can hold a document in perpetuity because they say where is the investigation? I've not received a letter in regards. The only discussion about the investigation that I've had has been with Ms. Horn, and it's been in reference to the public documents requests.
Okay.
And so, it all goes back to that original purpose. What was their purpose for compiling they didn't do it on their own volition because of the internal affairs complaint. They did it because I requested it as a public document.
So Ms. Horn has been in the thing that's sort of resonated with me and bothered me a little bit was when you said, well, they haven't even written back to me or haven't even contacted me, but Ms. Horn has been responsive to you?
In the context of, but in the context of, and I'm not claiming that, Ms. Horn is violating the Sunshine Ordinance in terms of not meeting her deadlines and stuff like that. I don't think I think she's violated the Sunshine Ordinance insofar as I don't believe she has cause to withhold this document in perpetuity over an investigation that I don't believe is actually occurring at this time. I know it's not occurring because I guarantee you if I was to request the Sheriff's Department's procedures, the first thing it'll say, the first step in the investigation, recorded statement. Why? Because the most important witness, the victim, the person that it happened to, is going to forget everything. Right. The first step, recorded interview with the victim. Where is that interview? It's you can't withhold documents in perpetuity for an investigation that's not occurring.
Well,
do you have something to add?
I do have an additional question. She's not saying it's in perpetuity. She's saying that it's going through a process.
Right, but at the same time, she still has to establish that there's something going. It's going back to what the city attorney said. The city attorney said very clearly that it could fall under this exception, but you have to look at what was the original cause for compiling the record and what what purpose was it serving at the time the request was made. In this case, they had an internal a public records request that went all the way back to August 29th, predating by almost a week the internal affairs complaint. They then had an internal affairs complaint, and that was sort of sandwiched by a very large public documents request. In either case, that record was not requested from Department of Public Health until at least 12 days after the internal affairs investigation was filed and 8 days after the second public documents request. So you can't argue that it was that it was part of the investigative file at the time the information was requested. Because that wasn't their original. That's the other thing the city attorney said. You have to look at the original motive for compiling the issue. There's nothing that says to me, as Ms. Horn pointed out, she's not involved in investigating the complaints. If they were going to request the documents and investigation of the complaint, that would be the internal affairs people.
Mr. Warren, hang on a sec. Yeah.
But the whole reason the internal investigation happened was because you triggered it, right? The nature of you asked for it, so they went through the process that they go through all the time for.
Sure, but after I filed the public documents request. First, I filed for the first thing I did. The first interaction with the Sheriff's Department was a public records request. You have to look at what the city attorney said. He said very clearly that it all falls back to the purpose for compiling the records.
I'm going to hold off right there. I'm actually going to address my question to Mr. Young. When I went through this, when you sent me this packet a few days ago, I thought, erroneously, thought this was pretty simple. Now that we're going through it, I see it's a lot more layered and nuanced than I thought. I hate when I do this or when we do this, but I think we're at the law of diminishing marginal returns. I think the best thing for us to do, can we just bump this up to the whole committee in January when we have our city attorney here?
At your discretion.
Yeah, because he's put some things
provide
that.
Any questions that you would like to ask the city attorney or anything to clarify so that a future hearing goes more smoothly? This is the time to make those questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate to kick this up and drag this out, but I don't think you're going to get anything from the three of us. And I'm sorry, Ms.
Could
Horn.
I just add a couple of things in response?
Grab
the
the
microphone, please.
microphone.
Sure.
Yeah, go
One
ahead.
is that the only purpose that our department had in requesting the video surveillance was because of the complaint that was lodged by Mr. Warren.
Right,
We
'cause
would-
you had to request it from DPH, right?
Correct,
Okay.
and we had to request it to begin our investigation because we don't even know the identity of the people involved.
I know.
So we have to
I know.
request it for that reason. Secondly, I think he's erroneous when he says we requested it starting with his Public Records Act request. We would never have requested it. It's not our record. It's Department of Public
Right.
Health's record. So there would be no reason for us to even want the video surveillance except to conduct an investigation at his request. And that would be the only reason. So I think part of his request or part of his Public Records Act request probably has to be addressed by DPH. And in addition to that, I just wanted to indicate that his initial Public Records Act request for any and all records related to his name, we had a very difficult time with that because we had nothing. We did our normal research, which would be jail records, anything administrative. There was nothing under his name. And it took quite a while once he told us that it was related to his self-admission, then we went to the hospital and started looking. There was still nothing under his name. The one record we produced was under a different name, but it matched the birth date and date and time that he was talking about. So again, the request for this video only came because of his complaint, which we then needed to investigate. So I just wanted
me go
to
with
answer those
Jennifer.
questions and may help you phrase
Okay.
whatever questions you want to
I
ask
do
the
have two
city.
questions here. I've got one, oh, thanks, from Member Hinsey.
This is actually for you.
Oh, for me, go ahead.
So, given that DPH did request a continuance, and
Yeah.
given that this is getting a little more complicated than we originally thought, yeah, I think the best course of action would probably be to refer it up to the full task force.
Yep. You've got something, Member Eldon?
I do. I would like to know from the city attorney,
Who's not here?
yeah, for the.
Okay, go ahead.
but
I will pass along the question.
He was asking me.
Oh, good, please
questions
do
to
that,
pass
because I
along.
got nothing.
Like, what exactly they believe is the law as it relates to the Sunshine Ordinance for somebody who requests something like this video, and then it triggers an investigation. Is the fact that they filed to ask for a public record first, does that make it public and keep it from being stuffed inside of an investigation until later, or does it just get put away until the investigation is done? And that seems like a kind of a straightforward thing that they'd be able to.
Just to summarize my understanding of your question, if the request was made prior to any investigation starting, does it still qualify as a public record, or does the
That seems like
Yes.
it's the. Well, I mean, it seems like that's the crux of what he's asking for, and
Yes.
I don't think we have the answer.
I will pass that along to our city attorney representative in preparation for the next hearing on this
Thank you.
matter.
Yeah, because I really got confused. And I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
Ms. Horn knows you were admitted to the bar in 1977. You've probably seen a lot of laws in your time. I know how to use Google. So, that's why it's gone beyond really I want to get the two of you in the same room almost.
May I suggest?
They still get to rebut, though, don't they?
Yes, they will. But may I suggest, since the Department of Public Health is not here, that these matter, you consider continuing them to the next available meeting, which would most likely be January the 6th.
We'll let him speak. We'll let you speak in a second. Actually, come on up. Do you have a date problem with that, or is it?
Well, yeah, right now.
Microphone, please.
As it stands, the Sunshine Ordinance is in violation of the Sunshine or the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force is in violation of its own rules.
Yeah, that happens.
I know, but that's what the rules say. I'm due a order of determination within 45 days. When it comes to Department of Public Health, they have at no point whatsoever corresponded in terms of this complaint. That's not my fault, and I shouldn't have to. If they're not here to defend it, they're not here to defend it.
That will be reflected, definitely will be reflected by January 6th. I mean, if they're in violation, they'll be in violation. You've got something?
But I mean, if they're not here, I mean, I'm due an order of determination within 45 days due to your own. I mean, are you willing to accept that the Sunshine Ordinance is task force is putting itself in the position where it's violating its own ordinances?
We very comply.
It wouldn't be the first time. Just I mean, for sheer, the Clark brothers are sitting in the back, rolling their eyes probably now, but it happens. It's, you know, just there's only so many days and there's so many cases, and, you know, it has happened to us before. What do we normally do, Victor? We just...
But at this point, I've not even received a response from Department of Public Health. I've not received. I received a response, but it didn't meet the legal definition of a response.
Okay.
But I filed the complaint. They were notified it. They didn't respond to it. They were given 5 days to respond. They didn't. As of about 3 weeks ago, I requested through Mr. Young a copy of their response. It turns out they didn't provide anyone. They're not here today. That's willful misconduct.
I agree. We would just reflect on that.
You can make a recommendation to the full task force that they be found in violation of the code section related to not sending a knowledgeable representative to the meeting.
Yeah.
There are nothing listed in the sunshine regarding the 5-day response requirement. That is internal request from the task force.
So here's my suggestion. This complainant against the sheriff's department, let's bump that up. The next item is 3. Let's at least hear a very short blurb of that,
yes,
and not let the DPH get away with not showing up, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And then we'll go
May
through
we
that.
take the rebuttals for this item, then move on to the DPH item?
Yes, rebuttals. You go first, Ms. Horn. You have 3 minutes to...
For DPH, I'm not here.
No, this is rebuttal to this
regarding-
case.
For your item.
You have 3 minutes to rebut anything that we said, that he said, that anybody said, that...
I think I've already said.
Yeah,
everything that I need to
most
say, so.
Mr.
respondents
Warren,
passed.
do you have a rebuttal for this matter?
I do.
You have 3 minutes for
I
anything.
do. Real quick on the issue of the continuance, you keep saying the Department of Public Health has requested a continuance. I've requested a copy of that request. I have not received it. I've been denied it, in fact, 3 times now. The only thing that I do have is an email to Mr. Young from Ms. Horn saying that I need a continuance for this case and this case, but she does not represent Department of Public Health. That request didn't come from Department of Public Health. That, in terms of if there's a separate request from Department of Public Health, it doesn't exist in my book because I haven't seen it and I have a right to see it. So right now I'm being required to defend against a continuance motion that I've not seen.
Right. I know.
My apology for that. I misunderstood and thought that I was also the subject of that complaint, so.
Department of Public Health has not requested a continuance.
I
They're
would
just
like-
not here.
I would like to dispute that. I did speak with the representative from Public Health, and they verbally requested it, and I reflected that in an email to Mr. Warren that both departments did request it. He stated that he did not wish to grant that request, and I informed all the parties that the request for continuance was not agreeable to the complainant, and that we would continue with the hearing, and it'll be up to the task force to determine if the continuance would be granted.
Okay, well, then that's...
But I wasn't shown the reason that they were requesting the continuance. I wasn't given any form of cause. It just said that they requested a continuance
No,
and forwarded an email from Ms.
I
Horn.
don't think, they don't have to give a reason, do they? Yeah, they don't have to give a reason. So let me go back, because, you know what? Let's finish with the sheriff's
Sure,
department
sure.
first. I too am already going into the next one. So we've done, catch me up, we've
We're
rebutted
still on
both.
rebuttals for the sheriff. Do
We,
you have any?
I didn't have anything.
Yes. Do you have any rebuttals regarding your complaint against the sheriff?
I think that's what
I-
he did.
Yeah, that's basically. Well, I have 2 minutes. I mean, look, it's what it all comes down to is I think an issue where you have to. It's sort of I think a backward interpretation to essentially at this point, because the investigation, contrary to what Ms. Horn is saying, I don't believe it's started yet, and I believe it sets a poor standard for public agencies that they can hold a document that they're not actively investigating, that they're not actively pursuing, that they can hold it in perpetuity, at least for the time being, they can withhold it from the public when it would ordinarily be subject to disclosure, on the basis that they will at some point get around to investigating it. That's just a really, really poor standard, I think, for the city of this county, in terms of the public and their accountability, or public servants and their accountability to us, I think that just really sets a poor standard. It says that you can essentially subvert any of the Sunshine Ordinance public information or public records provisions just by saying, well, it might be part of an investigation at some point, so we're going to withhold it. But that's just not, that's totally outside the intended, the intended meaning, the intended purpose of the Sunshine Ordinance, which is supposed to shine a light on what is really bad and corrupt behavior. At this time, we're not talking about stealing petty cash from a supervisor's drawer. We're talking about physical and emotional abuse by Department of Public Health employees, abuse by sheriff's deputies who are still badged, still at work, doctors who are still badged and still at work, and still tending to patients. So this, I don't understand. You're required to understand at least the basics of the laws and the legal requirements. And if you're not, it's just, I think setting this off is a real disservice, I think, to justice.
Okay, is that all we've got? Thank you.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes. I'll make it. So the motion, help me out here. The motion is that we...
The continued matter to the January 6th meeting of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. I will send the additional questions to DCA Treat. I will also request him to listen to the audio of this meeting so that he could provide additional advice to the task force on this matter. And
Okay. Do I have to repeat all that, though?
no, you do not.
Okay. I'm going to go with what Victor said as my motion. I need a second.
Are we doing anything with DPH on this?
That will be
We'll go
heard
to the next
separately.
one.
Then I'll second
Your second.
that.
Okay.
Is there any public comment regarding the motion to continue the matter? I do not.
Hearing none. Go ahead.
I don't see. On the motion to continue, Member Eldon.
Aye.
Eldon, aye. Member Hinsey.
Aye.
Hinsey, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. This matter will be continued to the January 6th meeting of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, and I will provide
Okay.
I will try to write a summary of this matter for the full task force to look
I
at.
appreciate that.
Point of clarification, would that be at 4 o'clock as well?
I will be at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There'll be an agenda, and whichever
Notice will be
item
sent.
you get on, you'll kind of figure out when you'll be here. Thank you so much for coming, and look forward to seeing you again.
This is next item.
Next item.
As continuation of this hearing is file number 15134, Joe Warren against Department of Public Health. There is not a representative from the Department of Public Health here at this time.
So before we start, can you clarify, the DPH did ask for this continuance then?
Yes, they
Okay,
did verbally
so
ask
for whatever
continuance.
reason, somebody was
They did
sick,
not
somebody
provide a
couldn't come,
reason
they
to
didn't
me.
have, which they don't have to.
And they were informed that a continuance was not granted via email.
Okay, I'm kind of, wow.
And
it's-
I would say that you could make a recommendation to find a violation for not sending a knowledgeable representative to the meeting, in addition to whatever other findings you may have.
Yeah.
May I
so-
suggest that we clarify exactly what Mr. Warren is looking for in regards to the
Yeah.
That
Department
was
of
gonna be
Public
my next
Health,
question,
so
yeah.
that we can summarize it and clarify it to make it easier for the full task force to hear the matter when it does get to them.
If it,
As I assume
if it
that-
has to. Oh, it will, yeah, okay.
It's your
It
discretion.
will
if you-
eventually get to them somehow.
Yes.
Yeah. So same thing.
5 minutes?
We know most of the
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
but
It's
give us
just-
the
I'm
DPH
getting
part,
just to
and
the-
you
yeah.
have 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
4:41. I'm like,
So basically,
okay.
in that September 18th or 8th request for public records, they went to both the DPH and the Sheriff's Department. Of the 52 items, the only thing that I'm requesting through this procedure from the Department of Public Health is item number 8, which is the security camera footage, which, as the Sheriff Chief Counsel said, it's their record. They have it. And the other item is the other items are numbers 14 through 18, which are pricing formulary documents for the drug benztropine mesylate. A real quick introduction to that second issue because you're less familiar with it. During the course of what was psychological and physical abuse, they claimed that they injected me with a drug called benztropine mesylate without my authorization, without my being informed, and without my consent. The drug is commonly used, it's mainly used to treat Parkinson's disease. And it causes your muscles to go flaccid. It's heralded as by the World Health Organization as a violation of the Geneva Conventions to use it. Our government has used it against deportees as a way to get them to be compliant. My mother's a psych nurse, and she's used it before. In Texas, you can. It's a horrible thing that you can. So, if you want to compare San Francisco to Texas, we can go into that. But the important thing was when they sent me the bill, it was interesting because they charged me $1,807 for one dose of this drug. Now, this drug is a Tier 1 medication. That means it's one of the lowest cost medications. Just to give you I submitted similar information or public documents requests to 7 different counties. I got a response from Alameda yesterday. I can't pass it out, I know that, but yesterday. And what it found was disturbing was that essentially what San Francisco Department of Public Health is charging me is 500% of the highest cost they can charge for the name brand Cogentin. It's 5 times, 500%. So what I basically asked for was the formulary documents, the documents that say, hey, this is what it cost us to acquire it, this is what we sell it for, and this is why. They claimed that they couldn't provide that because it was proprietary to an organization called University Health System Consortium. Now, I filed those similar requests with Alameda Health System and San Joaquin County. Both of those are also members of the University Health System Consortium. They had no issues providing it to me. People have a right to know. People have a right to know if their public health department is so inefficient that they're wheeling and dealing deals that are a 500% markup for a Tier 1 drug. That's something that they need to defend it. Now, for me, it's personal because I know what it evidence is, but it's certainly got Medi-Cal or Medicare and Medicaid implications. It goes into what else they're charging 500% for. It could just be that they aren't charging 500%.
Where I'm going to try and steer you back to sunshine issues.
Okay.
My dad used to be chief of staff at Yale New Haven Hospital,
Right.
so everything you're saying I totally understand.
Okay,
so let's go back to what are you missing?
So that's what I'm missing. I'm missing 14 through 18 is the formulary documents that establish the price of the drug, what they acquire it at, and what the reason or how they formulate the cost to the patient when he or she.
They won't give that because I got that
no,
from
they
Blue
said
Shield.
they said it's proprietary. They don't want to provide this information because of what it shows. They don't want to provide the security camera footage because you can see me being assaulted. You can see me being threatened. You can see me, you can't hear it, but you can see me being physically and emotionally abused. You can see at one point me begging to call my mother, who's a registered nurse in the state of Texas, and the doctor hanging up the phone to prevent me from calling them, physically taking the phone from my hand. It's the kind of emotional abuse that should not be going on at any facility, let alone a public facility. And there's a reason they're not here today, because to be here, they would have to perjure themselves. They cannot defend. They're not giving it to me. They didn't respond within 10 days as required. They missed it by 5. They responded within 15 days. They never responded to the letter from Mr. Young, and they're not here today.
Okay. The 21 and I'm seeing 21s and 25s all over the place. So we have no respondent.
Are there any speakers in support of the complainant?
Oh, sorry. Any speakers in support with facts and evidence in support of the speaker that we had? Anybody? Nope. Hearing none.
I would suggest, if you do not have any additional questions, that you consider a motion to continue the matter to January 6th. And I will write a recommend. I don't know if you want to recommend a violation for not sending a knowledgeable representative to today's meeting.
Yeah, that's 21E, right? 67, 21E. I just went through it, and the Sunshine Ordinance written in 1999 isn't the most efficiently worded. Am I getting it right? 21E? Yes. Yes, people in the back seem to know. The refuses, fails to comply, blah, blah, blah. I was going like to the middle, or actually almost the last.
Yes, the last sentence,
The
authorized.
very last sentence. Yeah, authorized representative, blah, 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 shall attend any hearing. So I'm going to make a motion on that one. Or I'm going to recommend, I mean, this is just going to be, sort of the appetizer for the rest of the task force.
I will
21E.
second that motion.
Initial
Well, let's-
violation of 67.21E for failure to send a representative.
Yeah.
With future consideration of additional violation continued
Yes.
to January the 6th. And I will indicate to them that the request for records has been modified to the request for footage, item number 8, and item 14 through 18 regarding the formulary cost information. And the complaints request has been reduced to those items.
Sounds good to me.
That was perfect. I need to take public comment on that motion. Wait,
Is there any public comment on the
Did
motion
I
to
get a
continue?
second? I'm sorry. I got a second from member.
Formal second.
Can I have a second? And then we can do
Second.
then I can do public comment, right?
Yes. Is there any public comment regarding the motion to continue?
Hearing none, then just take a vote.
On the motion, Member Eldon.
Aye.
Eldon, aye. Member Hensy.
Aye.
Hensy, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. The motion passes. The matter will be continued to January 6th, and I will send follow-up information to the various parties.
Okay. So, when I say Mr. Joel, Mr. Warren, we'll be seeing you again January 6th.
Thank you.
Item number 4, file number 15141, complaint filed by Mike Anderer against John Gavin and the Office of the City Administrator for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.7, 67.9, 67.16, and 67.21 by failing to post an agenda in a timely manner, failing to make available documents related to an agenda item, failure to make meeting minutes available in a timely manner, and fail to provide public records in a timely and/or complete manner. I believe all.
Yeah, who's who? You are the complainant?
And I
who's the
believe John
respondent?
Gavin is in the room.
Okay.
Representing the city attorney's
wanted to know
office.
who was. You're from the city attorney's office?
Not city administrators.
Somebody's office, administrator.
Yes, would you like to make a motion to find jurisdiction?
I'll make that motion to find jurisdiction under the Sunshine Ordinance. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any public comment specifically on the jurisdiction under the Sunshine Ordinance? Hearing none, let's move on.
That motion is passed without objection.
Yes.
Would the complainant like to make a summary of their complaint?
Yeah, you have 5 minutes.
I have 5 minutes.
Is this
Great.
your first time here?
It is my first time here.
Very quickly then, you'll get 5 minutes to tell us a summary of your complaint. The respondent will get 5 minutes. And if you feel like you didn't get everything you wanted to say, don't worry about it, because we'll ask a few questions and we'll discuss, and then he will get a chance to rebut first for 3 minutes, and then you'll get like any kind of final statement, and then we'll vote whether, what recommendation to make to the full task force. Did I miss anything? I've been doing this for a while. Go ahead, I've already forgotten your last
Thank you.
name. Mr. Anderer.
So, first of all, general context. This is about the Central Market Tenderloin Citizen Advisory Committee that is staffed by the City Administrator's Office. For those companies that are moving into that particular geographic area whose personnel taxes are over $1 million, payroll something is over $1 million, there's community benefit agreements that are signed with the city administrator need to be publicly vetted by this CAC, by that ordinance that created that CAC. My relationship or my role, so I work at Demariak Academy at 175 Golden Gate Avenue. I am also the co-chair of Market Street for the Masses Coalition, which is a coalition of about 32 organizations that are primarily concerned with issues of displacement because of the rapid development of the Central Market, South of Market, and Tenderloin area over the past several years. That coalition formed in the fall of 2012 and has been meeting monthly, constantly since that time. We work in 4 areas. One is we monitor the activity of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and there's always a member from our coalition that is in attendance at those meetings. Second, we build direct partnerships as neighbors with the tech company liaisons. The third thing we do is we build individual relationships with new market rate developers in the area, so something nothing to do with the CAO. And the fourth thing is, I can't remember the fourth thing, but it's not relevant to this case. Just wanted to kind of let you know that I'm speaking from with some experience about this, and through that coalition, we've been in relationship with the CAO's office and the CAC for that the past 3 years. Okay. So this complaint is just just an example. I think the complaint speaks to itself. I think the response, if you read through it, speaks pretty clearly. Mm-hmm. The evidence that Mr. Gavin submitted in response to my complaint was dated in May. In my letter, I point out that what he requested and suggested that I do in this case is contact him directly. That's what we did through the coalition back in May. So he was contacted by another member of our coalition about things not being posted then. And he showed the remedy to that didn't come to the Sunshine Task Force, because we said, well, the first thing we should do is let's just say, can you do this? Mm-hmm. As we moved through the summer, there was an August meeting that didn't happen because there wasn't a quorum at the meeting. At their September meeting, information was not posted again, and there was some communication with one of our members and the CAO's office. When the coalition met in September prior to its October 1st meeting, we made a strategic decision to watch to see when things got posted. Mm-hmm. And I volunteered Demariak Academy to be the person to do that. I checked at noon on October 1st to see if anything was posted about the meeting that was supposed to happen that evening, and there was nothing posted, so I turned around and filed the complaint at that moment. The evidence that I have on page 2 of my complaint shows, not only was the materials for the October 1st meeting not shared with the public through the website 72 hours prior to the meeting, that it wasn't even shared with the actual CAC members until 48 hours before the meeting. So, and that's the timestamp that you can see in the middle of page 2, and that's an email that was supplied to me by a CAC member from John Gavin, where he's sending them the agenda and the minutes. Third, at the October 1st meeting that I was in attendance for, the chair expressed frustration at the lateness of the materials because they had made some requests of the tech liaisons in terms of what they were going to report at the October meeting in the September meeting.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and finish your sentence.
Okay, and so he expressed frustration. I haven't seen the minutes yet I'm letting the process go through. I haven't seen the minutes for that meeting, but I'd be interested in that. At the end of the day, there's actually been a failure to thrive for that particular Citizens Advisory Committee. And we just want the CAO to do what they're supposed to do so that the CAC can do its work.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Do I have, and if you brought people with you, is there anyone that has any facts and evidence that they'd like to share in support of the speaker that just spoke? Okay. Well, nobody brings anybody anymore. All right, the respondent, you have to identify yourself because you're from the city, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chair Fisher and members.
Hi.
John Gavin with the City Administrator's Office, staff person for the Central Market Tenderloin Area Citizen Advisory Committee. I believe in my response to the complainant, I referenced having taken over the staffing position at the CAC earlier this year in January. Throughout that time, I had never had any contact with Mr. Anderer. He never called me, never emailed me up until October. He came to the meeting and in public comment just let the CAC know that he had filed an official sunshine complaint, which kind of took me by surprise. I felt a little bit kind of blindsided in that regard. Had my phone number, my work phone number is on the website, had he called me and said, look, I have some serious issues, I would have been more than happy to have sat down and met with him and worked things out, as I've had done before when people said, hey, this isn't up, can you get this up? I think in my response I referenced an IT issue back in the spring, and around May I couldn't access the website for a few days, so I couldn't get things up. And so that happens. And so I had the complainant come to me and just talk this through. I think things would have resolved. My feeling is he was getting frustrated and not contacting me because maybe he felt someone else could contact, whatever it was. He and I didn't have a direct contact, and I think a lot of this could have been avoided had that occurred. That being said, I'd be happy to work with them and be more responsive moving forward. I actually have an email from someone from Market Street of the Masses who sits on the CAC, noting the details of the minutes, and I do try and take a lot of time with the minutes. Sometimes I don't have the bandwidth, so I'll come in on the weekends to listen over to the meetings again to try and get as much as possible. So it does take me sometimes multiple hours to transcribe the minutes. So
We know.
That being said, I don't think that this needs to go to a full hearing. I think we can talk this through, and I'd be happy to work with them moving forward. And I understand that they want to see the CAC thrive. I do as well, and would be happy to work with them in any possible manner to do that. Anything else? That's it. I just think I appreciate Mr. Anderer's passion. I've spoken to a lot of the companies that are involved with the CAC, and they are community partners with the Demariac Academy, and I think there's a good community partnership there, and that's the purpose of the CAC. And a lot of people are invested in seeing the neighborhood succeed in all aspects, and looking forward to continue those efforts. Thank you.
Okay, so is there anyone that has any facts and evidence in support of the respondent? Hearing none, I'll open it up. I'll open it up to the task force. Member Hennessy, do you have any questions?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Member Eldon? Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Do you want me to start? Mr. My God, I can remember Demariac Academy. Anderer.
Yes.
Mr. A. Yeah.
That's it,
I saw
Mr.
that.
A.
I saw that in your bio.
Yeah.
So, Mr. A. It's the same question I ask pretty much anybody that comes here, because I'm looking at you've got 67, 9, 16. What are you still missing? Because one thing I did hear Mr. Gavin say is, hey, I'm willing to work with you. Are there any documents that are still missing, or is this more of, hey, I'm really mad that things weren't posted in a timely manner, which is also part of Sunshine. We're
Right.
all under the Sunshine umbrella. So my first question is, are you whole, and what is still missing? So is this punitive, or are you still waiting on something?
I think I anticipate that this hearing will remedy our situation.
Okay.
Just as a quick response to Mr. Gavin's complaint, or response to
Yeah,
the
you're the
complaint, is this has been a consistent behavior and struggle with the people over the past 3 years, with 3 other people that have been in Mr. Gavin's position. So it's not a
Yeah, that
new...
happens a lot.
Yeah, and so the reason why we filed the sunshine complaint, I filed the sunshine complaint in October, is we are entering the season in that CAC, November, December, and January, where they're reviewing the agreements. So I wanted to make sure that the CAC got the agreement, got the minutes and the agendas and the draft agreements in advance of their meeting so they could be well prepared.
Okay.
So, and I think that will happen. I trust Mr. Gavin will respond and get things up over the next couple of months.
Okay, because my basic question, people come to us because they're looking for, because they didn't get public information or public records that they asked for, and they're withheld for all kinds of reasons. Is there any information, or are there any records that you feel are being withheld? I'm guessing the answer to that is no. You're okay.
I guess what I feel, and it's really a suggestion. It's is that there is a lack of desire coming from somewhere in the CAO's office in terms of monitoring whoever's staffing the CAC to make them comply with what they're supposed to be doing. That there's no effort that they're... So in terms of evidence, there's no evidence of that. I could just, hopefully, encourage and through this effort with the coalition, encourage Mr. Gavin to do what he's supposed to do in this effort, but...
Yeah, we don't have anything in the ordinance for future violations.
Right.
Thoughts of, I got called on an intent to slash once on a hockey penalty, but I'm like, really? Okay. We don't have a,
Right.
future violation statute.
So my question, I anticipate things to be better through the remainder of this particular season.
May I suggest
Please.
go through the actual complaints for each of the specific items listed on page 253 of the city attorney's memo, where he provides a summary of the
I'm looking,
complaint?
253, I see, 1, 2, 3, public meeting.
Yes. We can go through these one at a time. I believe you can find violations on some of them, as a violation did occur, and then we can discuss how to proceed in the future. Most
Okay.
likely, you'll make a suggestion that a violation has occurred, and provide a suggestion that I don't believe any follow-up is needed, but we do need to document the violations.
Yeah, I'm already looking at this. We never go as far
So,
back as 67.7. This is...
The first one is regarding the public meeting, the noticing of the October 1st public meeting. I do not recall what I don't know, was that posted in a timely manner? October 1st public meeting of this.
I think the main complaint revolves around the agenda on the website.
Yes.
Typically, I would always send the agenda over to the Government Information Center. I think at sometimes, depending on, like I mentioned in the spring, there was some technical difficulties with the website. So I think maybe in October that may not have been in a timely manner.
Yes,
So
so you can
Victor,
find a
is that-
violation that one was not posted in a timely manner.
Does that come
However,
under 67.7.1, or is that 67.9? I'm looking at both
I
of
believe
those.
it's 67.7
Okay, so we'll go
with the 72-hour
67.
requirement.
Okay, so we'll go with 67, 67.7-1.
Let me confirm that.
Is either A... Do I have to?
I believe 67.7, at least 72 hours before a meeting, a policy body shall post an agenda.
Oh, well, there's an A, B, C, D, E all the way
Yes.
down. Can we just do the whole thing?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let's go with
That'd be
67.
67.7 for failure to post in a timely manner. The
Okay.
next item is regarding public meeting on the website as of the...
Sorry. If I had it posted at the Government Information Center, does it need to be posted within 72 hours on the website? Just
Let me review that code section. As part of Section A of that section, it states, in addition, a policy body shall post a current agenda on its internet site at least 72 hours before a regular meeting. Next on the list is regarding the public meeting. On the website,
There's no agenda.
there was no supporting material. I did mark that section at 67.9.
Yeah, that's 9.
Where it is suggested that they post all supporting documents on the internet when possible.
Is that, I'm looking at that right now, is that section A?
I believe,
Yeah.
to the extent
Yeah,
possible,
okay.
such documents shall be made available through the
Yep, I
Policy
see
Body
it.
internet site. However, this disclosure needs not include any material exempt from public disclosure.
Right, but this is all public. So I would say 67.9A, or should we just,
May we ask, was that possible, or did you not receive it 70 times?
Sometimes I don't receive reports, so they don't get posted till later. As far as
and who would these reports come from?
from the different
the-
liaisons that are affiliated. So, but
Yeah, but someone's got us, but your I'm
In
going to
this
ask
case,
Victor.
did you have it available 72 hours prior to the meeting?
Yeah.
and which
I don't know. It's regarding the October 1st meeting.
as regarding the agendas,
The agenda packet content,
So-
supporting material, was it online and available to the public 72 hours before the meeting?
it was not online 72 hours. I think it was 48 hours. The agenda and packet are always in room 362 for anyone from the public to come, and on the agenda and the minutes it does say that. But regarding online, I don't think it was 72 hours. I think it was 48.
I don't believe the code section states a minimum hour limit. It just
Yeah, I
says
don't think it does.
when it's available, it should be placed on the internet website.
Right.
Would you like to see my copy, or?
Oh, but I think Mr. Andor had a, go ahead.
Yeah, so I checked the CAC website at noon on the day of the meeting, and the agenda and the minutes were not posted there. I did provide evidence that showed that they were sent, the agenda and minutes were sent to the members of the CAC about 48 hours before.
Boy, that's,
That's a different one. The minutes is a different
Oh,
section.
okay.
We're just looking at the
Yeah.
packet
Understood.
material at this time.
And now that I recall that particular incident, I found it interesting timing because I went through the whole website and uploaded a ton of material maybe 2 days before. So I was surprised that it had not been posted when he checked, but I can't explain that. I'm not that tech savvy, but I did try and attempt to post it. But if it didn't translate, I don't know if there's a lag in from when I post. It should go live. I was surprised by that, but
And I don't have the tech savvy.
At discretion
yeah.
of the chair.
Yes.
But maybe you could provide a suggestion that the department should double check
Yeah,
from a separate site.
Yeah,
To ensure that it's up.
I tend to give the benefit of the doubt on these to the complainant, so let's
What would
think-
that code section be? 67.9?
yeah, 67.9.
Failure to post the agenda packet along
Yeah.
with the agenda?
Don't worry, you'll have another chance in January to revisit this, but let's, yeah, I'm not feeling very good about that.
We're just making suggestions now. We're not making actual motions.
No,
This
we're
is
just suggesting, and then the next one.
Regarding public records, no minutes are posted. The code section does state that a draft needs to be available upon request by a member of the public 10 days after the meeting.
I'm sorry, this is number 3?
Yes.
No minutes.
In regards to no minutes are posted for the August 6th or the August.
Yeah, and no minutes.
There is a requirement in the Sunshine Ordinance that a draft must be made available to members of the public 10 days after the meeting.
And
is that
that's-
upon request?
No, that's.
It is
that's-
upon request.
Is it? I thought it had to be up there
Let
on
me
the-
find the section, 67.16.
That's 16, right? Yeah, that's minutes, the blah, blah, blah. We get that with the 150-word summary a lot. 10 working days after the meeting.
The section reads, "The draft minutes of each meeting shall be available for inspection and copying upon request no later than 10 working days after the meeting." It does not need to be posted online, but it needs to be available
Right.
if requested.
Yeah, like if somebody called the office, then they'd have to be emailed to them, and this was not done? Is that what I'm hearing?
May I ask?
He's, okay, so that's 76716.
So
Did you make the request?
I did not make a request.
Oh,
I did not make a request.
So the,
well, all right, so if you didn't make the request, we can't really call that a violation. I mean, technically, if you didn't post them, that's still okay. If you requested them and they were not delivered, then that's a clear violation, but, okay, and then the last,
I just want to read further that after they are adopted by the committee or task force, they need to be posted within 10 working days after the meeting that they were adopted.
right. Right, so it's draft, because a lot of our stuff stays draft for a few months, and then they finally get adopted.
Yes, but I personally post my draft minutes for public review as there can be a significant
Well,
time
yeah,
frame from approval.
otherwise we'd be the cobbler's kids with no shoes. I mean, come on.
So my
Of
understanding
course
is
you get it right.
My understanding is you do not see a violation of that
I
specific
don't,
section.
because he didn't request it. He admitted he didn't request it, so. All right, where did we leave off? 3, public record?
I believe the last.
Which seats are open?
This is a public records request. I don't know if it states.
Because the last complaint here on our agenda says
May I ask,
6721.
is this regarding their website listing the membership of open seats? It states, public records, as of October 1st, the membership of the CAC has not been updated, so the public can know which seats are open and available to apply for. May I know how this relates to a public records document or request?
So at the time that I made the Sunshine Ordinance complaint, I didn't know where I could find that information. That information was on the Board of Supervisors site, not on the it's not on the CAC site. It's a Board of Supervisors responsibility, and that's where those vacancies were posted. So I withdraw that particular complaint.
And I would also like to state it's also on 311's website. They maintain all of the city's boards and commissions membership and vacancies. The Board of Supervisors only maintains one that they have control over. So I believe there are only 2 potential violations at this time.
Okay. 7 and 9. Someone want
Would you like to make a motion?
Someone want to make that motion?
A motion.
You can just say that motion.
That motion.
Okay.
Second.
We would like to allow for rebuttals also. We should allow
Oh, yeah,
for
we haven't
rebuttals
done the
before we make the
rebuttals.
motion.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mr. Gavin, you can go first. You have 3 minutes to rebut anything at all that was
And
said.
just so you know, I believe the committee is planning to find a violation of 67.7 for failure to post the. Sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth. 67.7 for failure to post the agenda for the October 1st meeting in a timely manner, which would be 72 hours prior to the meeting. And they also intend to find a violation of 67.9 regarding making available packet material in a timely manner.
Online.
I believe the complainant has stated that the supporting documents were not available as of the time of the meeting, even though you stated that you had uploaded it well in advance of the meeting, or am I misunderstanding that?
Which ones? What wasn't available?
CBA agreements, the drafts,
Because I brought those to the meeting
they were not available.
within 72 hours.
There's no time requirement on the making available additional documents, because if you do not personally receive them 72 hours prior to the meeting, there's no way you can post them.
I brought all the materials to the meeting, the CAC meeting at October 1st. So,
They were all available at the meeting.
They were available at the meeting, but they were not posted online prior to the meeting.
Aren't they supposed to be posted?
Many times the department does not even get it until
Yeah. Did he have it?
they don't have the opportunity to post online because they don't receive it in
They don't even
time.
have them yet.
So that is why I ask for everything I get at least 5 business days before
Right.
the meeting, so that I have the opportunity to copy it and post it and include it as part of your packet. If I get it after that time, I do not post it online. I just bring it to the meeting myself.
Okay. Is there a violation in there? Mr. A?
So it's difficult for the CAC and for the public to to participate in a healthy public dialogue if those agreements and reports are not available to review prior to the start of the meeting at 5:45. It end up being really like inefficiently run meetings because everyone's kind of going through stuff for the first time, and they can be long. So I understand it may not be a violation. I think my request is with the CEO's office, like work with the tech liaisons to like get the stuff 5 days ahead of time. You know, sometimes these are draft agreements, so lawyers are reviewing them on all sides, but like the CAC's got to do its work, and it hasn't been able to do its work because they don't have the materials ahead of time, even if it's not required by law. You know.
May I suggest you ask Mr. Gavin to work with his stakeholders to request that he be provided documents in a timely manner so that he can provide it to all parties in a timely manner. And maybe the parties can work together to, in certain instances, so that you can email them as you receive them. That's not, I don't believe that's a sunshine requirement, but they can work together to.
Yeah, Mr. Gavin, I mean, you're in the same situation I have found myself in many places. You know, you have all the responsibility as a project manager, but all the responsibility and accountability, but probably very little authority. So maybe the only thing, the only hammer you have over people's head is, hey, if you guys don't get this done, this is a sunshine violation. I mean, that's, all I can do is ask you to ask your stakeholders, as Victor called them, to, make sure they know, hey, guys, and gals, this is sunshine ordinance. This is the law. We need to, because, I'm looking at your website right now. It's like, you got to give people, I'm going to go with Mr. A here, you got to give people a chance to review this before they get there. It's a lot more efficient that way. Is that where you were going with that? Or I probably went a whole different route.
They can work together if they don't receive it in a timely manner, but it's a matter of getting your stakeholders to give you the items in a timely manner.
Yeah.
I believe the public library has been through this before in that they threaten to pull the items off the agenda if they do not receive the supporting documents prior to the finalization of the agenda. But I don't know how viable that is with your.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work.
And
So for clarification, is that one item then not in violation?
I don't believe it
No, I don't
is
think we
an
added-
absolute violation if he did not receive it in time to post it. But that
Yeah.
is at discretion. I do not want to provide advice to the task force.
yeah, no, let's
Yeah,
just
I
let that one go.
So currently, there's only one pending violation of 67.7 for failure to post the agenda in a timely manner.
I mean, I have to say, I'm looking at your agenda for the meeting on the 19th, and it's all here. So, good on you for that. Actually looks pretty interesting. I may come to this. So I guess that's a step in the right direction. That's what I'd call it. And, it looks like it's a nice 2-page agenda. A couple of vacant seats. Somebody start thinking. Anybody out here? So that's all I've got. It's good when I see that. There have been times when we've had complaints, and then there's a meeting in 2 days, and there's still no agenda. So that gives me a better feeling that it's up here already. That's all I've got.
Would you like to allow the parties to make their rebuttals at this time? I believe the only potential official violation is 67.7 regarding posting.
We gave up 9?
Yes, because I believe the discussion was if Mr. Gavin does not have the documents,
doesn't
there's
have
no
it.
way he could provide it.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a pass on that. Normally, I'd be like, hey, you still have to get it.
And I will write into our recommendation to Mr. Gavin to work with the stakeholders to get it in time.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on that one because I know, having been the representative for various industries and organizations, it's like, I'd love to say, hey, it's not me, but it is. But I'll give you a pass on that one. We'll see what the rest of the task force says. But so we've got 7. That's the recommendation we're going to make.
Are there any rebuttals at this time? I assume that, Ms. Gavin, do you have a rebuttal?
That one has
You
to do with...
can,
The rebuttal for the entire discussion so
you
far.
can, if you have, normally it's if something doesn't go your way, you come up here and you rebut and you give us 3 more minutes to tell us why you think we're wrong or something.
In the interest of everyone's
Yeah,
time.
okay, next.
Happy to work with interested parties and stakeholders to continue the CAC success. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm also happy to work with Mr. Gavin going forward. The complaint was really not about Mr. Gavin in particular, but a pattern over the past 3 years that we really needed to remedy before we went through another cycle of agreements this season over the next 3 months. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Sure, Young, what
Would the
else?
task force like to make the motion? I need someone to make the motion.
Move to find the violation of 67.7.
Is there a
I'll
second?
I'll second that.
Is there any public
Wait.
Do you have
wait.
additional questions?
Really, after all that? Remember, Eldon, you have something?
So we're still sending this to the...
We're sending it to
We're
the task.
recommending-
We're recommending it goes up. We're recommending it goes up to the task force. My guess is in this situation, since it's not that controversial, and the parties seem to have come to Jesus on this one, or Moses, or whatever. It'll go to task force, and it'll just go through. And now there's been a record of it, and we all move on.
Okay. So it's necessary to send it to the task
Yeah,
force?
they don't
The
have to
task
be
force
here.
must approve the
Yeah,
recommendation.
they don't have to be here
Okay.
though.
Okay.
Is there any public comment regarding the motion to find violation of 67.7?
Yeah, we have no choice.
You have 3 minutes.
Hopefully it'll be a.
Okay.
Oh, this is public comment?
Yes, this is
Yeah,
public comment.
just a quick, I'm not going to take the full 3 minutes. I'm Sam Dennison, I sit on the CAC, and I also work with Market Street for the Masses frequently. And I do want to say
Sam
that...
Sarah.
I'm sorry?
Sam, parentheses, Sarah Dennison, got it.
You got it, that's me. I want to say that working with John Gavin, he's very professional, he's good at what he does, and that I want to reassert what Mike has said, which is this message is much more for the CAO's office as a whole rather than for Mr. Gavin himself, and that I do look forward to us being able to work with these things in the future. It is true, however, that, given his workload and where things have been, that there were a number of instances over the last year, even after he took on the position, where there were requests for this to be remedied. And I do believe that part of what the issue has been is that it hasn't been a priority within the CAO's office. So that's where we appreciate this violation, as well as the message that's being sent that the CAC, as a citizen input into an important process, is valuable. So we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks.
Is there any additional comment? There's no comment. On that motion, to find violation is 67.7 for failure to post the agenda in a timely manner. I will include a summary of today's meeting and all the suggestions that we have provided to both parties. On that motion, Member Eldon.
Aye.
Eldon, aye. Member Hinsey.
Aye.
Hinsey, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. The motion passes. This matter will be forwarded to the next available Sunshine Ordinance Task Force meeting with a recommendation to find a violation. The parties do not need to appear at that meeting. You'll be notified of the date, but you do not need to appear if you do not wish to. And I believe the actions will be to review the committee's recommendation, and the task force will either accept it as is or schedule an additional hearing.
That is correct. Okay.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
Okay, can you call the next item?
Yes. Item number 15142, complaint filed by William Clark against Treasurer Jose Cisnero and the Office of the Treasurer Tax Collector for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.21 by failing to maintain and make public records available for inspection and examination.
Okay, so I know the Clarks are here. Who is representing?
I believe Miss Prophet is here.
Miss.
Stephanie Prophet.
Hi.
Would you like to make a motion regarding jurisdiction?
So moved. Or I move to find jurisdiction.
I'll second that.
Is there any public comment regarding jurisdiction? There is none.
None? Okay.
The motion to find jurisdiction is adopted without objection. With-
So 5 minutes, you know that, go.
Nice to see you all again. This is William Clark. Excuse me. Just to make you aware of what this is all about, is that before I sent this email to the treasurer requesting to review these records, I was informed by the controller and the Arts Commission that for the fiscal year 13-14, that the Street Arts program was $83,000 in deficit. And for several months over a period, in emails between the controller and the Arts Commission, none of them could tell me where that money was going to be gotten from. So in the process of that, I found out that in Section 3, 1.5 of the San Francisco Charter, it states that should the controller determine at any time during the fiscal year that the revenues of the general fund or any special sequestered or other fund are insufficient or appear to be insufficient to support the remaining anticipated expenditure from that fund for the fiscal year. For any department, function, or program, the controller shall reduce or reserve all or a portion of the expenditure appropriation until such time as the controller determines that the anticipated revenues for the remainder of that fiscal year are sufficient to support the level of expenditures anticipated for the remainder of the fiscal year. So what I did is I contacted the treasurer's office because I wanted to find out. I became aware of when the revenues were not going to meet the expenditures of the program for that year. So what I wanted to do was review the records of the treasurer regarding the revenues and expenditures. And so I sent my email over to the treasurer asking for a meeting to sit down and review the records for 13-14. And I sent that email on February 8th, 2015. And on February 13th, I got an email back from the treasurer saying, quote, "We have conducted a diligent search but did not locate records responsive to your request. The Street Arts program is administered by the San Francisco Arts Commission, which is located," and it gave the address. So, what I did is I did some other research regarding the treasurer, and it stated, as I stated in my complaint, both the state law and the city charter regarding the duties of the treasurer clearly state that that's the purpose of the treasurer, is to keep records of all the expenditures and the revenue that comes in. So my complaint is, and also I also, in terms of the destruction of records or the retention of records, the city charter says that the records that I'm requesting should be kept on file for a period of time, and if they're going to be destroyed, they have to be approved by the controller, and they have to be microfilmed. And so what I'm saying is that I can't understand, I can't understand how the treasurer can claim that they don't have any records for the expenditures and revenues of the street artist program for the fiscal year 13-14, when that's the duty of the treasurer to keep those records. And since I only requested a meeting to review the records at that time, I didn't request documents, but I requested just an opportunity to review those records so I could see what date the controller started paying money out of the general fund to the street arts program, which the street arts program was not appropriated by the Board of Supervisors or through the budget process. And I was, as I said, I was told that they didn't have any records. They looked and they couldn't find them. And so I've been involved in other things for the last couple of months, so I haven't had any time to make my complaint sooner. But I filed it at this time, and I just would find it outrageous that the treasurer treasurer is claiming that there are no records available to the public to indicate what the financial records for the Art Commission Street Arts program are. So at this point in time, I'd like to have you find them in violation of allowing me to review the records, and that in the future I have that opportunity if those records can be produced.
Okay. Is there anyone here that has facts and evidence in support of the speaker? Nobody else? Okay, then let's hear from the respondent from the Treasurer's Office, right?
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Prophet. I work for the Office of the Treasurer and Tax Collector. The complainant, I would say, accurately categorized the facts in this case. He submitted a Public Records Act to us on February 8th, 2015, and we responded on February 13th, 2015. He requested the records for the receipts and expenditures of the Arts Commission Street Artist Program. We conducted a diligent search and determined that we did not have any of those records. I see that in his complaint to the task force, he cited California Government Code Section 27002, which does state that the treasurer shall keep an account of the receipt and expenditure of all money. I think the point that is lost in his analysis is that he shall keep an account of the receipt and expenditure of all money received or paid out by him. I use him in this case since Treasurer Cisneros is a male. The Office of the Treasurer and Tax Collector does not receive any money associated with the San Francisco Arts Commission Street Artist Program. We're not responsible for collecting any money associated with that program. And if you go to the San Francisco Arts Commission website, it provides you information on how to get a certificate, how to get an application and a license, and that's all handled by the Arts Commission. And I would also note that each year under the police code, the police ordinance, Article 24, regulating street artists, at the end of or at some point each year, the Arts Commission has to put together a report for the controller, which is subsequently passed on to the Board of Supervisors, which gives an accounting of the receipts and expenditures for that year. So in our letter to the complainant, we suggested that he contact the Arts Commission directly about their receipts and expenditures. We provided the address and the phone number. Mm-hmm. And therefore, we do not think we are in violation of the Sunshine Ordinance or the Public Records Act. Thank you.
I have a lot. Do you have a question? Okay, so I'm going to open it up to the task force.
Is there any support?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. All right, is there anyone that has any facts or evidence to offer in support of the respondent? Hearing none, I guess I'll open it up to my colleagues with any questions for either the complainant or the respondent. Come on, someone's got to be as confused as I am on what the treasurer does. We voted for the guy, but I don't really know what he does.
I have a question, Chair.
I can tell you, I can provide, if you'd like, a list of all the license fees that we collected for the years 2013 and 2014.
So we
do collect a lot of, licenses and fees and obviously taxes.
The issue I have here is the Clark brothers know probably more about the Sunshine Ordinance than most of us in this room, maybe except for Victor. So if they're doing something, I have to wonder, and I got to tell you, I write my checks and I vote for the guy, and that's about it. I really don't know what the treasurer's office completely does. So should the treasurer's office, does the treasurer's office keep records of everything that is spent in the city and county of San Francisco, or is that more the controller's office?
The treasurer's office keeps records of all of the money that is paid to the treasurer's office.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The controller's office keeps receipt of all of the money for the entire city and county of San Francisco. They control it.
Right.
We just receive money that we are tasked with receiving. And usually that's laid out in the municipal code. How, when somebody has to pay something, it's usually dictated to whom they make that payment.
Okay, Member Eldon, you had a question for Ms. Prophet?
Well,
Or for the-
it was actually
or
for the
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark. If she's saying it's not their job to collect that information on the timeline and the detail that you're looking for, are you also trying to get it from the Arts Commission? Are you?
Excuse me, the Arts Commission does not give me that information because they don't have records of exactly when the money was paid out, when it wasn't, when it was received or paid out. They just get the warrants issued by the controller to pay for the expenses. And the Street Artist Fund is a special fund of the city. The Arts Commission collects the certificate fees and then deposits the money that they're required by the charter to deposit that money into the special fund and into the treasury of the city, and then that gets accounted to the Street Artist Special Fund. What she's referring to is all other license fees, but this was a ballot measure, is a special fund, and as I said, every time the Arts Commission receives money to pay for a certificate, that money gets deposited into the treasury, and whenever an expense gets paid, the controller writes a warrant to pay for those expenses. Those warrants, whenever the treasurer issues, pays the controller, approves a warrant, then that money comes out of the treasury. So I did want to make that point, and simply that this is city. This money goes into the treasury.
So to summarize, you're saying they do have the information you're looking for, and they're just not.
No, I don't have the information I'm looking for. I'm saying.
No, but they have it, and they're just not giving it to you.
Yeah, I'm saying that by law, state law and city charter, they have to, every time the Arts Commission deposits money into the treasury, they have to have a record of that. Every time an expense is paid out through the controller's office, they have to have a record of that. And what I'm asking for is to review the records for that entire year, which they're claiming they can't find.
Can't. Ms. Prophet, I'm going to pull you back up for a second. So is it three-part question? Is it that you don't have them, they've never been made, you can't find them, or that you won't give them? Because at first I thought it was that, well, the treasurer, we don't have anything like that, but then I hear Mr. Clark say the revenue collected from the street artists, I mean, they charge the artists for these spots or stalls or tables or whatever, and that gets deposited into the treasury, is that correct? So is it that you don't have the records, or that you can't give them, or?
When I receive any kind of Public Records Act request, I always make a diligent search for the records. 2 times. When I received this request back in February, I made a diligent search. I even called the Arts Commission to confirm it, because I know that we do collect a lot of money for things. So I was informed that we do not collect money from my own office, and I confirmed that with the Arts Commission. So my response is we do not have any records. If we had records, I would have responded, we have records, but I'm not turning them over because if I thought I didn't need to for whatever reason. So this is a case of us simply not having the records. I would wonder if Mr. Clark has asked the Arts Commission or the Controller's Office for this information, because I suspect that they probably both have it.
And you were saying the
Or
Arts
maybe
Commission
even the
and who
Board of
else?
Supervisors at this point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mr. Clark, come on up, and then Eric, you've got something.
I've asked the controller, the Arts Commission through emails. Like I said, they said that they didn't know where they were going to get the money from. For 6 months, I was asking them, well, how do you expect to pay for these bills when you don't know where the money's coming from? And they said, well, we're going to try and figure this out, and we'll let you know after the new year. And after the new year, I said, well, it's after the new year. How have you figured this out? And then they said, well, we're going to carry this forward to the next year, which is also illegal. That's not appropriate. And finally, I said to them, well, you know, I said, well, to Howard, Mr. Lazar deposits all of our money. Our money doesn't go just into a bank account somewhere outside the city. This is a city license and department. The Arts Commission is required to put that money into the Treasury. If they're not putting it in the Treasury, that's not very good. So all I'm saying is that state law requires the Arts Commission to deposit any money that they receive into the Treasury immediately, really. And then that's kept, there's a record of them receiving that money, or at least there should be throughout the fiscal year. Otherwise, the Arts Commission does not have records of depositing this into a separate bank account outside the city's bank, because this is all municipal funds. And so I feel that this is a willful refusal to allow me to see the fiscal financial records for 13-14. Not to mention, just as a result of this, for the fiscal year 14-15, the Street Arts program was in a deficit of $150,000 for the end of 14-15, and we're in serious position. So all I'm trying to do is figure out the date on which the revenue coming in was enough to pay for those bills, and that the controller, because I have proof that the controller became aware that there wasn't enough money and that he didn't know where the money was going to come from. And then later on I found out, he said, we paid these bills. And I said, where did you pay them from? And he couldn't give me an answer. And so I wanted to see the actual Treasury records so that I could say, on this particular day, the controller knew the revenue wasn't going to, be sufficient to pay for all the year's bills. And upon that date, he should have stopped paying out any warrants to the Arts Commission for any expenses until he knew where that money was going to come from. So it's very important for me to see the Treasury records, because the controller has not provided me, and I have asked him for records, and he hasn't provided me with any records.
Okay. The thing I'm sorry that I'm confused about is I heard Mr. Clark say, seriously, I'm very confused, say, willfully holding back the records, but I'm hearing Ms. Prophet, who I think we've had you here before. I mean, we've worked with you before, and
I was hoping you wouldn't remember that.
Well, for what it's worth.
Come back.
Well, for what it's worth, you kind of seem to know what you're doing.
Try not to come back.
I mean, we have two pretty experienced people here, so something's missing here. Maybe it's me.
I would just say he didn't really answer the question that we just put to him. He said he asked the Arts Commission how it was going to cover their shortages. That's not the same question that he put to us.
Right.
I don't know how they're going to cover their shortages. It doesn't sound like they know either. But they probably know how much money they're receiving. And he several times has stated that state law requires the Arts Commission to deposit this money with the Treasury, but he hasn't provided that state law. I don't know what law that is. I'd be happy to look it up.
I have to ask something really basic. I'll get right to you. I'm a taxpayer here. I'm very familiar, being on this body, with the street artist program. So street artists, thank you. Street artist collects money from the artists. I buy from them all the time down by the Embarcadero. And it sounds like at the end of the year, they were in shortfall of some amount of money, 83 grand, 150 or something. I gotta ask, they have overhead, they have several employees there that they have to pay. If they come up short, what happens in this city when a department comes up short? Is there a fund you dip into?
You have to look at the municipal code. It explains what happens in those circumstances, and I think he's probably accurate. When a department or a commission is short, then probably the controller evaluates what to do. Because that's the controller's job, is to, maintain the fiscal integrity of the city.
So this is, should we put it up on something?
I'll
or?
provide it to you in a moment.
Okay. So, you had something.
Well,
I'm at a loss.
I'm still like confused about like why he's sure you guys have these records and you're so sure that you don't have them.
I think he's sure that we have the records, it sounds like to me, because our office is called the Treasury. We have a lot of records, but I can explain to you briefly what happens when city departments receive money. Right now, the Controller's Office has a big accounting system called Famous, and city departments make entries into Famous, and that's the Controller's Office maintains like the P&L sheet for the entire city. So probably the Arts Commission receives this money, it goes to their office on Van Ness, and then they deposit it into their bank account, and it shows up probably in Famous. I'm just speculating, but I've had a few other questions about payments. One was about that one about the emergency response fee, Alvin Johnson's PRA. So I learned how that was a fee that we used to receive. So I had to figure out, well, we receive it. What do we do with it when we receive it?
She can look at it. You submit it. She can look.
It's hang tight, Ms. Prophet. Yeah, anything submitted to us has to be shown to everyone. Okay, so
I'd be happy to produce the records if we have the records. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I should have looked today. I would suspect that the Board of Supervisors has this record because the Arts Commission has to make a report to the controller, and the controller makes it to the board. So that might be available now.
Okay. I hate to send the clerks off on another, I don't know, expedition, but it sounds like the treasurer doesn't have this.
I said to...
Hold on, wait a minute, where are we? We're in discussion? Victor, we're still in discussion? Has anybody posed? Go ahead, Mr. Clark.
We are in rebuttals at this time.
Are we already at rebuttals?
Do you have any additional questions?
Well,
Do you have another? Do you have a question, Member Hinsey? No. Do you have a question?
I'll wait for my rebuttal.
What? Do you have a question?
I'm just trying to understand. Like
Me too.
It seems like a sort of like a.
What's there to understand? State law says the treasurer is responsible for the receipt of all revenues collected by the city. That's the state laws 27-102, I think it was.
Yeah, I mean it's.
And the city, excuse me, sir. And the city charter says that the treasurer is responsible for the receipt of the expenditures and revenues of the city. The Arts Commission is a department of the city. The Street Artist Program is a program within that department. Those fees and our revenue collected by the Arts Commission, they deposit it into the treasurer, and so I'm trying to make.
I understand this. What I was trying to ask you is, like, you're essentially saying they're not following state law and they're doing a bunch of like bad accounting practices, but that's like. If that's the case, like that's not something that we can.
Well, yes, it is because you have a requirement that the records be maintained, that they be maintained in a professional manner. And if the treasurer is saying that he's not maintaining those records,
my point is simply that you are like, it may like. This task force may be included within the scope of what you're accusing them of, but it's much bigger than us if they are improperly accounting for an entire city program.
I agree with you on that.
So I don't.
But what I'm saying, I'm willing to wait for my rebuttal to make a statement. If
okay,
you...
let's move to rebuttals. Ms. Prof, go ahead, Victor.
Does the respondent have a rebuttal to me?
Yeah, you have 3 minutes to give your this is general rebuttal.
My only rebuttal is to the point that he keeps making that there's a state law that the treasurer receive all of the money due to the city and county, and that's just simply not true. He hasn't produced a statute or an ordinance to back up that statement. So it lacks merit. I've provided evidence that we timely responded to the PRA. We don't have the records. So even if you find us in violation, we don't have the records. There's that saying, you can't draw blood from a turnip. So that's the position we're in. And that's my final statement. Thank you.
Clark, you have 3 minutes.
She keeps saying that I haven't provided the law that says that, and I'm not saying that they collected the money themselves. I'm saying that they received the money from the Arts Commission. I'm not saying that the treasurer has to collect the money from the street artists themselves and from the certification fee. I'm saying that the Arts Commission received that money and then deposits it into the Treasury. All that money gets deposited into Treasury so that there can be a record kept of what comes in and what goes out. And I quoted to you, government code section, which states that the treasurer shall keep an account of the receipt and the expenditure of all money received or paid out by him or her. Now, that doesn't mean they have to collect it directly from the street artists, but it comes through their departments. I mean, that's like saying anybody in the city who pays a bill has to put that right into the Treasury. It doesn't work that way. So, I mean, I'm claiming that, if nothing, that they violated the Sunshine Ordinance by refusing to let me look at records, which they obviously can't if they claim they don't have them. But if they don't have them, I'm claiming that that's poorly maintaining the records of which they're required by law to have. The treasurer is, and the controller pays the bills. He's the one who signs the warrants. Everything goes through the controller. The treasurer pays the money to the controller. First, the controller has to file a warrant to prove that the money is a legal expenditure. And that goes through the controller, and that's what Famous is. That's where the controller keeps his records. And then the controller pays the bills of the Arts Commission, in this case, the Street Artist Program, for various bills. And what I'm saying is that the Arts Commission, anytime they receive any money, whether it's a gift or anything, it goes into the Treasury, and the treasurer keeps record of that and makes sure it goes into the proper funds. That's all the treasurer does. He keeps the numbers, and then the controller writes the actual warrants, which is the check to pay for the bills to the departments. The Arts Commission does not have the records of when the controller went to the tax collector and required the warrant and the money to be given out. So I'm asking you to find them in guilty of keeping. I'm just saying, I'm asking you to find them guilty of not keeping a professional thing. If anything else, if you three can't figure this out, I would like you to put this up in front of the full task force.
Okay, well, it automatically will go there. This is, you start here and it automatically goes there. You have a quick question? Or
I would like to get some clarity on, what's actually going on here from the city attorney and, someone else who's an impartial expert in the matter, because it seems like
Well, this is how it goes. Even if we find no violation here and we just suggest that Mr. Clark, talk to the Arts Commission or the Board of Supervisors or anybody else, even if all that happens, so if there's no motion and nothing happens from this will circulate back to the January or February?
I don't want to make a determination this time.
But it will move to, it has to go to the entire task
I believe we
force.
should back up a little bit, and in regards to Member Eldon's comment, we should be deciding on whether or not a violation has occurred.
Right.
Are there records that should have been provided that the Treasurer Tax Collector is not maintaining? In regards to your question on what the process is and what they should be maintaining, that that's a separate matter from this complaint, and we can open a separate hearing file and consider that, but...
How is it a separate matter?
Well,
I found Ms. Proffitt's argument to be pretty persuasive that the records do not exist from in the treasurer's office. So that's who the complaint was filed against. So, I'm kind of, let's close that one out. If there's somewhere else, that's not for us to determine.
He also managed to convince me that the treasurer simply doesn't have this. So whether we want to, the file is the file.
Yeah, I don't see any violation there. We've been here before. If something doesn't exist, we can't compel it.
But their point is that it's supposed to exist, and by not keeping proper records, that's a violation.
But I didn't see that it was a violation against Jose Cisneros' treasurer's office.
They are claiming that he should have kept those records, and so that's why it would be a violation.
I believe the treasurer tax collector is claiming that they do not.
Yeah, that's...
So it's a matter of whose testimony you believe more.
Yeah.
I mean, can't we... It seems like a pretty straightforward question to get somebody to answer without just having to take people's word for it, because it's...
That is the purpose of having the representative from the treasurer tax collector present today.
Yeah, I thought she was pretty persuasive. I mean, by no means is this over.
Yeah, okay, I mean...
It's not over, but, we've knocked on this door, and there's nothing in that cubicle.
Can nobody besides the treasurer's office say whether or not the treasurer is keeping proper records? It seems like there must be an independent authority that could say this is how it's supposed to work versus this is what they're doing, and maybe they're doing things how it's supposed to work.
Right.
But I would at least like someone who has, expertise and familiarity with how...
I think this is our expert.
Right, but they're the ones who are being accused of something, and so, whether or not that's their opinion about it...
Come on up, because
I can just let you know that
we're happy to
we're
hear.
periodically audited by the Office of the Controller, like every other city department.
Right.
So if we were doing things improperly, it would probably be found out by them, or that would be what their job was to do.
Ms. Proffitt, I got to ask you, you've been doing this longer than us.
I don't know about that. I've only been here for 2 years.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. It seems like you've been here a lot longer.
No, it's only my third time here.
So given your 10 years of experience in taxation and law and money and whatever, they made a valid point. Money gets paid somewhere, and they just want to know where it is. So shouldn't somebody in this vast universe of city government have that record somewhere? And if
sure,
it's not,
I think so, and I think...
And it's not you.
I think it's the Arts Commission and the Controller's Office would know that.
Okay. I'm going to give you 1 minute, just because
May we ask them specific...
hold up.
May I suggest a question? May we ask if they have requested this information from the controller and the Arts
That's
Commission?
where I was going. Have you asked the controller, the Board of Supervisors, and the Arts Commission?
Yes, I have, and the Arts Commission does not have the records.
Okay, and the controller's office?
And it's not the controller's office the responsibility to keep the bank account. The controller doesn't get any money from the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission deposits...
Can you just humor us and ask them?
I have asked them. I've asked the Arts Commission for all the records. Don't get... I don't get the kind of records that I want, which is just the date of when the money came in and when the money went out. They just say, we spent the money on this, this, and this. I want the actual dates of when money was deposited into the bank and when money was taken out. And all I'm saying is that the controller has nothing to do with the money. He gets no money. He just signs the checks to pay for the bills and keeps the basic financial records also, so that he can see, he has to oversee the finances so that he can tell.
Okay, Mr. Clark, I'm
Right,
job
but
there.
I'm going to finish up in a second. All I'm saying, the controller has the responsibility to oversee the finances to make sure more money isn't being charged to the city than they have to spend. That's his responsibility. And in this case, I said he breached that responsibility, and I need to see the financial records of the city. So, the treasurer is, the Art Commission doesn't have the loan ability to keep the bank account.
Okay. Mr. Clark, what I'm hearing from Ms. Prophet is these records do not exist. They can't give you something that doesn't exist. We've been down this road before.
I understand, but I said if they, excuse me, sir.
Actually,
I can handle my
Victor,
own
you
hearings.
can kill the mic. I ask you to sit down because
okay.
we're done here.
Yeah. You're done too.
We don't have public comment yet. We haven't made a motion yet. Okay. Where did I leave off? We're at motions.
I believe Mr. Eldon still had an issue
Go
he
ahead. You
wished
have
to
a
discuss.
question or something?
I mean, I feel like there are unresolved questions here about how things are supposed to be accounted for the street arts, and I would like to hear, before this goes to the full committee, if there's any more detail we can get on how it's supposed to work, who's supposed to be accounting for what, and I still just like...
These are not the right departments, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the next steps are, but I feel like he's
we
getting it.
We as the task force, we don't compel other departments to come in. If Mr. Clark wants to file a
We
complaint,
can only evaluate what is presented to us.
precisely.
Okay, what I would like evaluated by the city attorney is like, I mean, is this the correct accounting setup? Like,
I don't
is
know
it-
if the city attorney would be
Yeah, they don't do
the
that.
correct person. It would
You're
need to be the-
bumping up the same frustrations that those of us that have been here for a while. We're like, we want to be queen of the world and figure all this stuff out and find out, but we have to
it's not-
face the complaint that's in front of us.
I understand that. My only point is that if they're asking for these records and saying, like, no one's keeping these records and I'm trying to find them, it is up to us to figure out if...
Well, we've
people
given
are
that
not-
suggestion. We've said file a complaint against the Arts Commission and the controller, and let's see what they have to say. I mean,
I thought you said he had.
we don't have that. I'm saying,
Okay.
when that complaint hits Victor's desk, then we
Okay.
can do something about
Okay,
it.
that's-
That's all we can do. I know it's not the
I
best.
had thought that those were...
Trust me, it stinks. I hate
No,
sending
I-
people on fishing expeditions and,
If you'd like to draft a question, I'd be happy to send it to the controller's office,
Yeah, Victor can do that.
and we can bring it to the next meeting when...
I mean, I guess my question would be, which one of them is right in describing how things work?
That
Right.
is your
That-
job to determine whose testimony is more
These are legal
convincing.
questions. These are like
Yes.
these are like legal tax accounting questions, right? Like it's not my job to determine.
No, it's
tax
only
law.
your job to determine if these records, if they have complied with the Sunshine Ordinance. You know,
Well,
did they
but-
provide the records if they had them, which they do not have? And the other thing is regarding the record keeping,
Right. That's where.
and they are stating
that's-
that they are not required to keep these records because they do not receive these funds. That's my very surface summary of the matter.
Okay, so
They're saying that they do
we
not
can
need to
ask
trust.
the
And
city
you're not off base. We have had situations where people said, I have no records, and we dug deep and found out, oh, per the charter, you're supposed to have those records.
That's-
And they were in
that's what I'm-
violation of not keeping those records.
That's exactly
In fact,
what
the
I'm trying
Arts
to get at.
Commission, yeah. I don't think this is that case with the treasurer. We have, and it was with the Arts Commission, where they were supposed to keep records they didn't have, and their violation was, you better sort this out. And we met with them every single month for almost a year.
So you're saying you know that there's no missing records?
I don't know, but I feel that Ms. Prophet's argument was very persuasive. that they don't have the records. I don't get the sense that they're supposed to have these records, and I want to,
So maybe we can ask the city attorney if they're actually supposed to have the records or not?
as city attorney, you're
So nobody can answer that.
The question should go to the controller, in my opinion.
let's hear what the
The city attorney,
Let's see what the controller has
Okay,
to say.
Whoever
They may be able to
can answer
clarify
this question, just show us what actually is happening and how it fits into the law.
Would you like to provide a detailed question that I can forward to the controller and the city attorney?
And it could be as simple as, where is this record supposed to be? Which department in this vast universe of City Hall, when $83,000 goes missing,
Well, more
who's tracking
specifically,
it?
is the Treasury supposed to be tracking the detail that they're looking for, but is not actually doing it?
I would go with, okay, two parts. Is the treasurer supposed to do this?
And
What
who
the heck?
has it?
And if not, who is tracking this and who should have this?
I am trying to stay focused on the specific complaint, and
Okay.
it's
I see where you're
if
going
they're
with
not
this.
keeping the records that they're supposed to be keeping, that is a violation that we're supposed to be dealing with. I would like to know if they're supposed to be keeping those records or not. If
Okay.
they're not, then the complainant needs to go figure out another way to get the records, and if otherwise, we'll get some clarity here.
Okay.
Would you like to make any type of referral?
Who am I referring to?
May I suggest that we, if you have any, I'm trying to think of something at the moment. We can refer this to the full task force at this time with the recommendation that no violation has been found. However, I will delay placing it on the task force's agenda until we receive an answer to the question. And at that time, if the answer to that question indicates that there is a violation, we can reject that recommendation and conduct a de novo hearing on the matter at the full task force.
That works.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? We may swing all the way back around and come to find out that the treasurer is in violation.
And I would like to request that the complainant provide a quote or the section that he is quoting from regarding the state law and the San Francisco Administrative Code or San Francisco Code that he is referring to, so that I can forward it along with. I would just request that it be provided in a simple form, just to be sure that I have it. As I will be composing this question and reviewing the tape and composing the question.
Okay. Did you capture all that? Do I need to?
I will be reviewing the tape to.
Okay.
The motion will be to refer this matter to the full task force with the recommendation to find that no violation has occurred. However, I will forward a question to the various parties as to who is responsible for tracking the fund or the requested records. That will be presented to the full task force along with the recommendation. And it'll be up to the task force to determine whether or not to accept the violation or to reject the recommendation and schedule a de novo hearing on the matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
That works.
Public comment.
So, do I have to do
Who
public?
makes the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
Is there a second? Public comment?
Hi there. Unfortunately, I have a street artist permit, and I have to deal with this almost every day, and I've had to deal with this for probably 30 years. This is not an isolated complaint. This is a notion that these two have in their mind. It's consumed a tremendous amount of time. Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Do not interrupt.
Yeah.
Can you turn off the clock?
Do not interrupt.
Yep.
Do not interrupt. This is public comment.
I'm objecting because
You cannot object to public comment.
she is not talking.
Doesn't matter. This is general public comment. Please be
No, I
silent.
object. She is not.
I'm going to call the sheriff and have you remove.
This is, to clarify, this is item number 6, general public comment? Is that where we are?
No,
Yeah.
we're not
And
on general public comment. This is comment on the matter.
Sorry, comment on the
It's
matter.
up to the chair to make the determination, not members of the public.
Yep.
If you would like me to call the sheriff, I will do so at this time.
No, I'm fine.
Let's all take a step back, clarify what we're
Miss-
talking
is her
about.
name?
Mr. Clark, do
What's
not
her name again?
respond to public comment. It's not your public comment at this time.
That Ms.
It's up to the chair to
Formerly
control the
Datesh.
meeting.
I'm going to let you. Tribu.
Please have a seat.
Wait a second.
please have a seat.
It's Mr. Robert Clark.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Both Mr. Clarks, can we let Ms. Trevue have her, where did we leave off? 2 minutes and 40 seconds without any interruption. We've listened to you. It's to the call of the chair. She's been waiting here very patiently. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm speaking to this issue right here. I've talked to the representative from the Treasury. I asked her at length how she conducted her research. She was quite clear. She was quite specific as to how she did it. I believe that took place. I also believe that they do not have the records that were requested. And if you look at the initial email sent, it was vague. And what Victor has taught me to do is, you might send an email back asking for clarification. You might call if they're receptive. You might go over there in a very civil way and try and work things out to try and get the information that you want. This is a 40-year-old thing that's been going on with the Clarks. We don't have many street artist meetings, 4 to 6 a year. On November 4th, which they did not attend, over half the meeting was spent in 2 questions that the Clarks posed to the city attorney's office on just this issue. We had to sit there and trudge through a different version of the same thing. They have been trying to conjure up a pile of money that does not exist. They're going to the wrong department, first off. They're interchanging controller with treasurer, which are 2 separate entities and 2 separate departments. They're quoting state law concerning the controller when we have the treasurer in here. So it's a mishmash of nonsense that you people can see with fresh eyes. We have to deal with it every day at the lotteries, at the meetings, which is why there's a cop posted there. You can see the reason why. And you can see the amount of fracturedness that has gone on throughout this program over many years, simply because they want to know things. It doesn't exist. These documents do not exist from the treasurer. This complaint should be dismissed.
Is that it?
Yes. Any additional public comment?
Now,
Any additional public comment?
comment on the motion?
No. On the motion, yes.
On the motion. Oh, no, you're the other
He is
brother.
right.
Yeah, you can speak.
Yes,
Sorry.
I'm Robert Clark.
Sorry.
And I'm in favor of the motion. I do want to point out that the laws that he was asking us to give him are in my brother's original complaint. And I do support going back to the full task force and having this matter heard. I have no problems with having the city attorney make a ruling on what are the duties of the treasurer and whether or not it is the duty of the treasurer to have the financial records of the street arts program, since it's a city-sponsored agency, and I have no problem with that, but I would request that you ask the city attorney to have it before the next hearing, rather than waiting to have a hearing when you receive it from the city attorney, because the city attorney often takes 7, 8, 9 months to give an opinion for some of the questions that we have been asking of the city attorney. I'm waiting now 7 months for an opinion that should have taken him 1 week to give me. So I'm requesting that you amend it to say that you'd like to get an opinion from the city attorney, but that you would like the city attorney to have that opinion by the time you schedule the next hearing, which I would like it to be the next Sunshine Task Force hearing. But if that's impossible, then the February hearing. And as you know, I just want to make a final comment on this, and that we've spent a lot of years researching and searching through files and asking the controller. So I do think it's important that the controller also be included in asking whether or not it's his duty to keep these records, or whether it's the treasurer's duty to keep these records, and that both of them should be given an opportunity to give their opinion, because you're asking somebody who's being accused of not doing their job that, whether this is your job or not. And since this is a special fund that's within the general fund that all our money is supposed to be put in, it seems to me there's absolutely no doubt that it's the duty of the treasurer, and therefore I would like to get this in front of the full task force so that the city attorney may be present at that time also, so that you can ask them special questions. And I would like to thank the committee for letting me speak on the topic of the motion instead of letting me ramble on something that has nothing to do with the topic like some people do.
Thank you.
I would just like to clarify that it is our intention to refer this to the task force with a recommendation to find no violation. I will not schedule this before the task force until I receive a response to the question.
Okay.
However, at that referral, at that meeting of the full task force, it is to consider the recommendation of the committee and not to conduct a brand new hearing on the matter.
Okay.
However, if the task force does decide that to reject the recommendation of the committee, they will schedule another hearing on a future date.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sorry.
On that motion,
Oh, great, motion. Okay, go.
Member Eldon.
Aye.
Eldon, aye. Member Hinsey.
Aye.
Hinsey, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is general public comment. Members of the public may address the complaint committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction but not on today's agenda.
So it has to be what's not on today's agenda. Okay, and the amount of time is...
3 minutes.
So it's not subject to the call of the chair?
I won't be 3 minutes.
Quickly!
Calm down, calm down. It's just another version of the same thing. I would wish that you take every complaint with fresh eyes, not to say, well, this person has a great knowledge of the Sunshine Ordinance, and therefore we're going to listen to them and give them a lot of credibility, because when somebody spends a lot of time in this room, or they might be experienced, it doesn't always work out the way that you would expect it to be. I find it extremely annoying to be in the same room with the Clark brothers. I don't know what their issues are. I really don't care. But it's very frustrating for everybody to see that amount of anger and hostility, especially when it's been built up over 40 years. I believe those two have cost the city millions of dollars in bogus complaints. When Monique Zamunda, the deputy controller, retired, she came into this room,
Remember that.
and she said on the mic, "I am so glad I don't have to deal with the Clark brothers anymore." And imagine what it's like for me.
Really? I remember it was, I'm glad I don't have to deal with sunshine. Oh, sorry.
Well, she told me something else. So while there might be some doubt in your mind about this great pile of lost money, of street artists' money, it's not there. If these two had spent more time out working...
Not on the previous matter, please.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has to be public, general public.
I just would hope that you would screen complaints a little more carefully. All right.
Next on the agenda, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items.
Can he speak again, or?
This is general public comment, yes.
Okay.
Robert Clark, and I want to make sure that I'm speaking properly, and you said it can be on something that's not on the agenda, but within your committee's purview. And I'm just asking you that in the future, when somebody stands up and starts rambling on about their dislike of a person or anything that doesn't have to do with the actual item that the public comment is for, that I would appreciate that you would, would object to the person and let them know that, you're rambling on something that has nothing to do with the item or the motion, so that individuals who are being attacked, like this particular person attacked, do not have to, object personally and then get threatened with arrest and all that. I would just really appreciate it, because you're wise people. You can tell when people aren't talking on the matter or on the motion, and you should, I know you're trying to be nice and let people talk, and then if I was in your position, I would do that also. But when the person constantly comes up again and again and again, every time there's an opportunity for public comment and does it, I think there's time to explain to the person that it's improper. And it's not only here where it's being done to my brother and I. She's going over to the R Commission doing the same thing. She's going to the other committees, that any other committee she can go to. So I'm asking you to consider that in the future when people talk out of item.
Okay. Oh, we have announcements?
I assume there are no announcements at this time.
No.
Next on the agenda is adjournment.
Thank you, Victor. Sorry. Thank you.